Time is 5:30 p.m. Today's date is Monday, September 28, 2015. This is the meeting of the Paris City Council. I'm going to call the meeting to order. We will start as usual with invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Anderson will say the prayer, and Ms. Lancaster will say the Pledge of Allegiance. If I can have everyone please stand.
May we pray? Heavenly Father, we're indeed thankful for the opportunity to be here today to conduct the business of the city. We pray for your guidance and direction. Father, we pray for understanding. We pray, Father, that we might conduct our business, Father, in a civil way that will glorify your name. And we just ask your blessings upon this city, Father. For these things we pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item on the agenda is the Citizens Forum. Persons desiring to address the council must limit their presentation to no more than 2 minutes. Unless an item is posted on the agenda, the Texas Open Meetings Act prohibits the council from responding to any comments other than to refer the matter to a future agenda, to an existing policy, or to a staff person with specific factual information. Claims against the city, council members, or employees, as well as individual and personnel appeals, are not appropriate for the Citizens Forum. The Citizens Forum is now open. If you want to address, please come forward, write your name and address for the record.
Council, there's an item on the agenda tonight, number 11. It's under the consent agenda, and I just wanted to let you know just a little bit about it since it is under the consent agenda. Currently, the City of Paris has a contract with the Department of Agriculture for a previous downtown sidewalk improvements grant, and it expires in December. We've asked them to close it sooner so that we can reapply, and we are waiting by the minute to get a letter from them, and we're hoping that we get that letter before Thursday, because that's when these new applications are due. And so they're working diligently to try to get us closed out so that we can resubmit, but the current contract actually doesn't expire until December. So we're going to ask you to pass a resolution in anticipation and hope that we do get to submit this application on Thursday. If not, then we can apply again next year, but we do not have the closeout letter at this point.
Mayor Hospi, member of the council, for the record, my name is David Neighbors. I would like to express on behalf of the Lamar County Farm Bureau your participation and allowing the fire department to participate in our Paul Chellis Memorial Grain Bin Rescue Tube deal that we had a big deal out at the Civic Center the 3rd of September. If anybody is interested in it that didn't see it, we intend to do it tomorrow night at the fair. What this consists of, many of you will probably remember Paul got killed out here at Detroit last year. He fell in the grain caved in, he basically drowned it. Now, that sounds crazy, but he was in drain. That's what they call it. We had rescue people on the scene. Nobody knew what to do or where to start. Now, this tube is a 5-piece apparatus that you put it in the grain bin by pieces, stick it together, put it down around the individual, and then it sucks the grain out away from him, and the tube keeps the grain from coming back around this individual. And then hopefully you can rescue him alive. And I want to thank the fire department and all of our volunteer fire departments. That's what we're in the process. We've got 3 of these rescue tubes. We're going to try to scatter them out centrally, where regardless of in the Lamar, Fannin, Red River, the surrounding counties, we could possibly start the unit from here and meet them at Cooper or wherever needed to be. in case we had one of these, and hopefully we'll never use it. But in case we need it, it's nice to know they're there and appreciate the efforts there. I also would like to introduce myself, a little off the record here, but the Region D planning people here are here. I'm the Lamar County representative on the Region D Water Planning Board. So if any time I can be of any assistance at all, I'll stay out of the way here tonight because these people are much smarter than I am. But if I can ever help, let me know. I'll be glad to. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Neighbors. If there's nobody else wanting to speak in the Citizens Forum is now closed. Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Anyone has any questions on the consent agenda? Mr. Pickle?
No, sir.
Mr. Frierson?
No.
Dr. Clifford?
No questions.
Mr. Pilata?
None.
Mr. Jenkins? Ms. Lancaster?
None.
Okay. I do have some questions, and I'd like to take one item out, which is the Airport Advisory Board, but I'm going to ask this item be tabled temporarily because the city manager is not here, and he's the one who knows about it. So if nobody has any objections, I'd like to take it out till he's here next time. So I'd like to make a motion to take the Airport Advisory Board out this time. All in favor? Aye. Okay. I'd like to make a motion to approve if nobody has any objections to the rest of the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Well, you will have your thing tonight, I suppose, right, Janice? It's already typed?
I'm sorry?
The thing about item number 11?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll get with you tomorrow, Karen.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And to all of those who are here for the disannexation, I want to let them know that item number 13 was that, so that's approved. Correct?
Correct.
Okay. Moving on to regular agenda, item number 14 is consider and take action on status update of round 4 planning for Region D water planning. Walt Sears, Executive Administrator, Linda Price, Chairperson. This item was placed by Ms. Lancaster. You want to say something?
Yes, there are some people here representing that wish to speak about this and inform us.
Yes, ma'am. My
You
name
would
is Walt
introduce
Sears.
yourself again?
Walt Sears
Walt Sears.
from the Northeast Texas Municipal Water District. And we just completed the first draft of the latest Round 4 plan. And it's over 1,000 pages long. So what I have tonight is 3 pages that I hope will summarize or begin your questions. And I want to say that this is one of the engagements that I am enjoying to have, because sometimes when a community calls and asks me to speak, it's because they don't have enough water and they are behind the curve. Tonight, I don't have a minus to talk about. I have
If I
pluses.
can ask you a favor,
I have
please.
pluses to talk about. So let me pass out those 3 pages.
Thank you.
Now, Region D is the region that you are in for water planning. The chair of that region is Linda Price, and she's a volunteer, and she's seated to my right. I'm a full-time employee at the Northeast Texas Municipal Water District. Water is what I do every day, all day long. And what I passed out was 2 tables. The first table is 2 pages of tables that says who are the providers in our region. And in Region D, we have 19 counties. We have 17 wholesale water providers. Paris is one of those 17. You are the 5th largest provider in this region. The largest provider in this region is the Sabine River Authority. They're in the Sabine Basin, and they are also in Region I, which is the planning group to our south, and Toledo Bend is their largest lake. The second largest wholesale water provider in this region is the Northeast Texas Municipal Water District. That's the district that I work for. It was created in 1953, and we have in that table a description of who our customers are. I've highlighted the city of Paris because the city of Paris, you have two sources of water. You provide that not only to your city, but to others as well. That's what makes you a wholesale water provider, is the fact that you do more than just making water available for the citizens and industry within your city limits. So on the third page is the table that tells you what your supplies are. Paris is dependent upon two sources of supply. Many communities only have access to one source of supply. So one of the things I want to say as a complimentary thing is Paris is in relatively strong condition because there are two sources of supply. By having two is better than one, and I realize that that's fundamental, and at the same time there's many communities that don't have that opportunity. In Northeast Texas, we also have, in some places, groundwater. So in some places, you'll see a community dependent on both surface water and groundwater. In this community, your source of water is surface water from multiple locations. You partner with the U.S. Army Corps for those two sources of supply. And you can see from that chart that one source of supply is relatively larger than the other. Pat Mays is estimated to have an annual availability of 51,488 acre feet. Someone may ask, well, what is an acre foot of water? That's a foot of water deep over exactly 1 acre of land. That is exactly 325,851 gallons of water. The second part of that table tells you how much we think you're going to need over the next 50 years. We do that by decade because as a community grows or changes, the growth may not be straight up. It may be in leaps. And so we do analysis for the next 50 years in 10-year increments. And so what you can see from this chart is how many acre feet it is likely to be needed for the city of Paris. And what the total answer is, in round numbers, 50 years from now, it's projected that you'll need about 30,000 acre feet. Now, if you compare how much you think you'll eventually need, 30,000, to the volume that you already have, which is over 58,000, that's how I can be comfortable in telling you you have a good source of supply, and we would use the word surplus to describe that, meaning that you have more water already developed than you're going to need for the next 50 years. Many communities in Texas can't say that. And that's something that you should take personal pride in, that this community has made a significant investment in water. Now, the surplus, if you look at the bottom of that page, that's the surplus projected by decade. And that's over 30,000 acre feet right now that is described as beyond what you are projected to need. In 50 years from now, that number that's described as surplus is 28,621 acre feet. That is a large volume of surplus. That means that you could use that water for a variety of things. Your community is not the only community with a surplus. A minute ago I said I was number 2 on the list. My communities have surplus. And so what we've been doing with our surplus water is making that available to communities near us that do not have a surplus, that are in a deficit. A deficit is created when You got more need than you have supply. And by way of an example, one community near you that's in that circumstance is the city of Clarksville. When you talk about Clarksville, you say, how much do the supply do they have? How much is their projected need? And unlike Paris that has tens of thousands of acre feet of surplus, they have a deficit. We project the deficit to be about 303 acre feet over that 50-year horizon. So their deficit is very modest in terms of absolute acre feet, but it's real. And so they need real solutions for their water supply. And as we do this water planning comprehensively from scratch, once every 5 years, we look at all of the communities in the 19-county region. By number, there's probably more than 200 of them. And some of them are in the Paris example of having a surplus. And if you ask me, the communities in Northeast Texas that have a relative abundance, Paris is one of those communities. Sulphur Springs is one of those communities. Longview is one of those communities. Texarkana is one of those communities. And the communities that my water district serves is a fifth on that list. So the good news is both that you're in the top 5 largest, and you're in the top 5 with the most surplus. Those are all good things to share. And I wanted to share those with you so that you could have comfort about knowing that past decisions are still providing benefits. When you make good choices and you invest in infrastructure, those are the kinds of things that a community should feel good about. So I wanted to say tonight that Paris, along with some other communities in Northeast Texas, are adequately planning and are adequately investing in the water resources. And the challenge for regional water planning is to get every city, every water user to be as proactive with their decision making as Paris has been. And I'll stop there, and I appreciate the courtesy that's just been extended to let me go through this information, and I'll be happy to go over any of this information or answer any questions that any of you might have.
Anyone have any questions?
Yes.
The water supply that you determined that we will have, say, in 2020, based on today's numbers, is that based on the flood pool or our lake being completely full?
It's not, it is not based on the question was, are these numbers based on the lake being full? No. What's important is that you be able to supply water every single day, even in the worst day that you're ever going to have. And the worst day that you're ever going to have, we would describe that as the drought of record, meaning that go backwards in time and figure out historically how bad has it ever been. And when it's as bad as it has ever been, how much you have that's the volume that is reliable. So the amount that you can capture in times of plenty is a lot higher. And that's why these numbers are not numbers of maximum. These are numbers of reliability, meaning that if industry comes to you and says, we need some water, well, they don't need it some of the time. Most likely they need it every single day. And so that's why the numbers here are not numbers of what is the most you could capture or most you could store. These are numbers of what you can rely on. And as people might say, what can you take to the bank? You can take these numbers to the bank. And that's because they're reliable. Now, it is possible that weather being unpredictable, that as bad as it has ever been, happens sometime in the future, and it may not just necessarily be in our rearview mirror. And that's the reason why we do this once every 5 years to assess that. And there are, as many of you know, Texas had an extraordinary drought between 2011 and 2015. And in some places, as bad as it has ever been, is a relatively recent thing. And so that's why we have to constantly analyze that. We are provided funding from the Texas Water Development Board, which is a state agency that helps us to make those analyses. So those numbers that are shared here, these are as recent a numbers as we can provide. They're as accurate as we can provide them. And so if an industry or a community said, can you provide, hypothetically, 3,000 acre feet? Well, the answer is absolutely yes when it comes to Paris. Now, I can't be absolutely yes with everybody, but I can be absolutely yes in this conversation because I know what the numbers are for that, and those numbers are based on detailed analysis. Other questions?
You're counting these numbers based on today's population, correct? So you're counting that in year 2070, which is years away, that the population of Paris has not changed.
No, that's not right. What we're saying is we start with the population of the 2010 census, and that's the last known number we have. And then we use the state demographer for projecting what we think the growth will be, not just in Lamar, but not just in Paris, but also in Lamar County. Because when you saw that list of who you supply water to, they're going to grow, just like Paris is going to grow. Now, we have some uncertainty of how fast and how much, but these numbers that you see for demand, they contemplate that Paris and your customer base will be growing over time. And as they grow over time, the best information that we have is the information that the state people that do this for a living suggest. Now, we can vary those numbers. If we think they've shot the runway too far, we can say, okay, well, they're not going to grow that much. Or we can say, well, we think that you've underestimated the growth. And historically, they have been underestimating growth east of Interstate 35. Interstate 35 goes from Dallas-Fort Worth down to Houston. If you're east of that line, and Paris is, the state demographer's office has frequently been too conservative in their growth pattern. So that's why, for an example, let's look at the number for Paris. Paris's number today is a water usage of 2,964. In 50 years, it's a larger number. That's larger because we think there'll be growth. If we are mistaken about that, and let's say that we are mistaken by it grows, your population more than doubles. If your population more than doubles, then instead of needing 2,900 acre feet, you would need something like 6,000 acre feet. Well, if you need 6,000 acre feet because Paris has doubled in population, if you started with a surplus of 28, you still have a surplus, you just have a 22,000 acre foot surplus. So to answer your question directly, yes, we took existing population, we factored in what we predicted for growth, and then as a safety measure, you could do your own analysis of how far Paris might grow in terms of need, because that number of 2,964, that's not just what people need, that's also what industries need, and industries without necessarily population. You know, for example, when in county rural, someone comes to a football game on a Friday night and they flush the toilet at the stadium, those people weren't counted in the city's population, but they used water, right? So that population doesn't necessarily, that's why we don't use population directly and exclusively. We use it as one of the factors, but what's most important is how much water you're currently using and then how much you're going to need. And so that increase is both an increase of people and an increase of businesses that will need water.
And one other question that I have is that suddenly is the rate of growth proportionate to the amount of drop in the supply?
Okay, let's talk about the drop in supply. The drop in supply is because lakes are like people. They age. And what we can do when we're 70 years old is different than what we can do when we're 22. And with lakes, it's because over time, when you have rain and water comes into the lake, it isn't just water, it's dirt too. And some of it is suspended in that water column. So then what happens when that dirty water sits in the lake? It decants, meaning the water on top becomes relatively clean and the dirt settles down at the bottom. Well, over time, your ability to have the size of your lake shrinks. Well, as the size of your lake shrinks, then it affects how much water you can have in a drought. And the good news for Paris is, look at how modest the shrinkage is. In Pat May's, in 50 years, you go from 51,488 to 51,461. So that's only a difference of less than 30 acre feet. That tells you that your source water for that lake is fairly free of noticeable sediment reductions, because there are other lakes that are other rivers that silt is a larger, more immediate problem. So again, the location of where you build your lake and what river it is actually on, it matters. So yes, you do over time, I would describe it as, I think you're a doctor, so I would describe it this way. Over time, your arteries do harden and constrict and get more narrow. Well, some people are going to have a heart attack because it's so clogged up. Other people are going to live into their 90s. This is a lake that looks like they're going to live a long time. So you should also be comfortable that you've got a really good asset here, speaking, compared to other lakes. Because other lakes, and you can, in that 1,000 pages, you can do that analysis. You can compare your lakes and how much you're losing over time to other lakes, and I would describe your loss as very modest. But that's the reason why your supply goes down is the trapping vessel gets smaller over time.
I was just wondering, what's the surplus in Sulphur Springs, just for comparison's sake?
Okay, let's go back to the first page. Well, it's actually on the second page, I think. Yeah. Let's look. Yes, the city of Sulphur Springs is on the second page. Their available supply is 24,376. So that means that, relatively speaking, their supply is smaller, considerably smaller than Paris's supply. Yes, ma'am.
So it seems that we've done a very good job of maintaining and providing for the future for our city.
Yes, and I'm going to say that we've been doing water planning since 1997 in this state, looking at it comprehensively. The success story that is Paris, those success stories, that started long before 1997. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to describe that with several hundred communities. I wouldn't know any of those citizens and those leaders by name, but I would say the proof is in these numbers. So the proof is, yes, you have been doing a good job, and those good choices that you made, they are continuing to have benefits going into the future. So the next time you see someone that was in that generation that made those resources available, point them out to me. I'll tell them thank you myself, because I do appreciate those people and leaders who are good stewards of the resource, because this resource is not infinite, and the better we manage it, the better it is for everyone. So you do get a check. If we were grading papers, you would say you get either a check mark or an A.
Would we get an A+?
Yeah, or an A+. That's more accurate.
Well,
A+.
Since we've done such a good job of maintaining that and the planning has been good, we don't really see any particular reason to change the protection that we've afforded our water system.
Right. I agree that y'all are in a safe place, and that y'all, because of past good choices, you're well suited for moving forward. And this is something you should take pride or be.
Well, I
be
definitely
happy
submit
about.
that we need to protect that source continuing on, because obviously it's been a very good plan.
Right.
And I think it ultimately would help in drawing industry here.
That's correct.
Right.
And when all of this information is available online. 20 years ago, you had to search for it because it was in written places that were in obscure locations. And so now those industries, those Fortune 500 companies, y'all are on the map in a good way.
Right. Good reason to continue to protect our
Exactly.
resource.
That's exactly right.
I do have one other question.
Uh-huh.
On page 3, if you come on Mount Pleasant, then when it comes to surplus, it shows 6,085 to 1,763 in 2070. Can you explain that to me, what's going on there?
When you build a lake, you have industry that helps you. Well, sometimes an industry declares bankruptcy. And sometimes when an industry declares bankruptcy, they don't need as much water as they once did. The city of Mount Pleasant and it buys their water from Titus County Freshwater Supply District Number 1. Their main lake is Bob Sandlin. Now, the power plant is operated by Luminant. Luminant in the last 2 years declared bankruptcy. They gave back more than 20,000 acre feet of water to the original water builders. And so as a result, Mount Pleasant is on that list of having a surplus. They might argue with you because before the bankruptcy, they were getting slightly over $3 million a year in income. Now they're going to get slightly more than $1 million of income, and that's only going to be for a shorter period of time. So that they might argue that in their case, having surplus water is a wonderful thing to brag about, because they would rather be selling the water, obviously. But that's what happened in Mount Pleasant. What happened in Mount Pleasant was they had a surplus. That surplus got significantly higher, and the amount of revenue they were getting off of the water sales is noticeably lower. It's off by more than $2 million. That's a good question about surplus, because those surpluses, if they're created because you have more demand than supply, because you have plenty of supply, that's a good thing. But if it's because you have a surplus because your demand dropped off, that might not have been a good thing. Other questions?
Anybody else? Okay.
Well, I'll leave then with a compliment that y'all are in great shape to help your neighbors if you want to attract industries, and it wasn't accidental. It's obviously purposeful, and the prior leaders made good choices, and I wanted to close by saying, they may read about it, I just want to say thank you, past leaders of Paris, for putting investment and good leadership into this resource.
Thank you very much. Are you going to speak? Or? No. Okay. All right. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is item number 15, receive, update, and discuss the work being done on South Church Street and 3rd Northeast, Miss Lancaster. Does this item need to be untabled for? This was tabled last time.
I didn't show that it was tabled last time.
Right. It
It showed that we moved it.
was written differently.
Okay. All right. Well, then we don't untable it.
Hello.
Hello, Jared.
You just want me to kind of give a rundown of what we're
I
doing
would
on?
like for you, and then I would like to ask some questions, and I'm really
Make 'em
sorry
easy.
that John was not going to be able to be here, but
It's
if
okay.
there's any further questions, we can get him on next
Get
time.
him next time. Okay. Well, just kind of an update on, first I can start with South Church Street. We had some low water, the water lines that were replaced in Phase 1, Texas Water Development Board. When that was done, it was done from,
I hate to say it, but there was one other question that I wanted to ask from the previous person. If you don't mind, can I just interrupt for 1 second? There was something that I heard that the sewer plant that we were thinking of doing, can it be funded through you people? Is that, is there any accuracy to that information?
The Texas Water Development Board provides funding for water and wastewater projects. The state agency has with it more than $6 billion worth of loan capability. So if you have a project, yes, the Texas Water Development Board, we're extensions on the planning side. If you're interested on the Water Development Board, I can give you the contact person who can help you with that. That person, they have it's a big place. They have somebody that does nothing but making sure rural gets our fair share of the funding. Paris is certainly rural, and so yes, you. Let me get that contact information.
If we can give that to Jean, please.
I sure
Sorry
will.
to go back on this item, but
All right, I'll
Glad
look
you
that
did.
up in my phone and I'll get it to you
Thank
before
you.
I leave out of
Good.
here.
sorry to interrupt, Jerry.
Thank you.
I didn't want him to leave with
Right.
the question.
I understand. Okay, I'll kind of start back. South
Yes.
Church Street, when Phase 1 was done, the design and engineering started at Brame Street and went all the way to Heron. Well, in doing all of that, some lines got cut out and low pressures were created in that part of town. And kind of doing some back search on all this, we did a loop off of 3rd back over to South Church, increased those pressures a little bit, but it still wasn't where it needed to be for fire protection purposes and that type of stuff. So we got to digging a little bit deeper, and there was one block in that process that was not in the project at all. And that was from Sherman to Brame. Okay. That is a 6-inch line. It is incrustated to about a 3-inch line, which comes off of a 14-inch main that runs east and west on Sherman. Well, that's one of your main feeders into that area. So in looking at that, what we've done is we're laying a 10-inch line from Sherman to Brame to increase those pressures. We're laying a 10 that will now buckle to those new 8s that go all the way down to the tracks. And that should help with the increased pressures on that. So that's kind of what we're doing. There's also a drainage problem at Brame and Church. And in doing that, there was a stormwater inlet box that had a 12-inch pipe out of it from on the west side that went to the east side. It wasn't allowing enough water to drain fast enough, so the water was building up, jumping the curbs and flooding some of those yards. So in doing that, we're redoing that stormwater inlet box. We're taking 2 18-inch drainage pipes from the west to the east. The box culverts from there on out should handle that water. So it's a process of elimination, step by step. But I think it'll show a good increase on the drainage for that. So that's kind of what we're doing on South Church.
Okay, so the McGinnis Brothers Construction Company was not responsible for that section?
No, ma'am, that was never in the plan. Now, how it missed that one block, I do not know, but it
Well,
was never in the
there was
project.
certainly a lot of streets torn up in that area.
Right, and it just, for that one block, and like I say, that was the main feeder off of that 14 on Sherman, so I don't know how it got,
Well, I know it definitely did affect several people's yards because they called me. And if the McGinnis Brothers didn't do it, who did it?
yeah. Well, that one was never, that section of line was never done.
Well, I'm confused about that because I have definite,
Well, no, I think there was probably
Contacts
some
from people.
franchise work, telephone and stuff was going,
no.
I don't know
no,
that.
Well,
I
it
don't
was
know that.
definitely street and it was definitely water and sewer.
Yeah. So I don't know how to answer that. because
Ms.
it's all
Lancaster,
of
1
them.
second. This McGinnis brother is the first one who kind of messed up the Church Street, is that?
Yes, they did mess it up.
Yeah, they were the,
They did.
They were taken off the contract though, right?
The contract was closed out with them not completing the work, and the city had to deal with it, and Church Street remains a mess.
right. But with that one block, it was still old infrastructure and was not on the drawings or the plans to be replaced. I don't know how that one block got missed when all the rest of them did get.
Well, I'm
And-
still concerned with how the McGinnis brothers were allowed to just have their contract closed out, and they were paid almost all of the money that was owed. And the street remains to be, and it's one of our lead-in streets, to be one of the worst. Why did we pay these people? Don't they have a bond that proves that they
Yeah,
do
normally
good
the
work?
bond process is followed if they didn't follow their obligation and get it done. Now, I don't know the history on that.
No,
Ms.
see,
Lancaster,
you weren't
so-
here, and I understand that, and that's why I may have to take this further with our city manager, just to see what happened.
And I think
Because it didn't just, it wasn't just Church Street. I got involved because it was affecting West Kaufman and going over to Third, and then going almost all the way to the fairgrounds.
Right. Well, and part of that is, of course, what we're doing on Sherman to Brame there on Church is about a $20,000 project. We're doing it in-house. We'll complete 4 to 5 weeks. Okay, so that's one part of it. Now, the other part that the McInnes brothers were in on, which Dual Construction was the subcontractor for them, was the 20-inch water main that they laid from Henderson on the north end all the way to Sherman to the south end. The
Now,
old main and the
unders-
new main run parallel. The old main was never capped off.
Right, it was never capped off,
Right.
and nothing was ever done or said about it until I said something about, why did we have all of these double fire
Hydrants.
hydrants, and why did we, and they were all painted just as active as the other one.
Right. And we were already kind of doing some research into that, trying to figure out what we could do. Now, Phase 3, which Texas Water Development Board grant has just started, and in that project, there's like $102,000 for some line stops that was going to help take care of this. The only thing is I think it was just thrown in there. Nobody knew where these line stops were supposed to go, and they wasn't going to work anyway. We found that out
I
for
wish
sure.
that were
So
not the case all
it's
over the
about
city.
$102,000 that is covered there. Now, you'll see city crews up and down Third Street right now.
I've been watching them.
And it looks like landmines, but it's the only way that we know, is
To
we're
try
going
to find
in
that.
and we're killing out and capping the old 18-inch. And just to kill it is not, we've got to cap it and take it out of service, so at some point a valve don't
Right.
turn back on and you've got another problem.
Well, I
So-
wondered how the fire department knew which one of those to turn on. Because they're
they-
sitting side by side, now you do have a plastic sack over
They're
them.
plastic, and normally the black hydrants mean low pressures or no pressures, so.
Well, when you did the change order, they did another summary, and I find a line item here that we had to put in and pay $5,500 to find out where the city valves were.
I don't know about that.
I mean, it's in the paperwork.
Yeah.
I'm just concerned that such a bad job was done on Church Street, and that we still had to pay for it, and we're going to have to pay for it again.
Well, I mean, we're spent to date on killing out that 18. I mean, we're at $35,000. That's including, city equipment, manpower, and all that. And basically, we've got we're from Clarksville to Sherman dead right now. Cut
Okay,
cap.
on Church Street, and I have pictures going back quite a few years, used to have a curb like this. Now you've got a curb like this,
And that's just from years of overlay.
of lower, and all we did, it seems to me, is just continue the problem on Church Street. I'm just, that's our historic district.
Right.
We want it to look really
Well,
nice.
I'd love
and
to take it out and redo it, yeah.
That's exactly what needs to happen.
Yeah.
And I'm concerned that these people really had some culpability and some liability into giving us some of that money back. So I just wondered why we didn't avail ourselves of the bond.
Yeah. And I don't know that, I do
No,
know
I
that-
knew you wouldn't
Yeah,
know
it was,
that.
I think supposedly taken to council, and council approved just to pay them off and get them out of here. at
Well,
that point,
I
but
remember
don't know.
speaking to
Yeah.
Mr. Napier and saying, he said what a really bad job, and they were going to cap it off. And I said, if it's such a really bad job, why are we paying them? And if I recall correctly, Mr. Godwin said there was one payment still left, and I said, then don't pay them, make them fix it. Well, it was paid
It
anyway.
got paid, yeah.
It was paid anyway.
My understanding was they were not going to be paid. We never approved their
Well,
payment.
I'm telling you, they got paid. And my recommendation
Yeah, I
was that
think
they
their
not get
contract, I've
paid.
got some information here, their contract was for $1,815,000.
Right, right.
And they were paid $1,794,000. So there was like a $20,000 difference that,
Well, that street's gonna cost us more than 20,000.
But remind me, maybe I'm forgetful, But didn't we not say and didn't we not approve their last payment? I thought we told that they will not be paid.
My recollection of that was there's somewhere in that, in my conversations with John, don't quote me on this, but I think it's somewhere in the six-figure, 100 to 150,000 that they were
Yeah.
not paid.
Yeah, I think you're right.
That
That's
was-
about
that
how,
was-
it
that
was
contract was
not
terminated
that
at that
much of
point.
the whole thing, but it was,
But it was still a significant amount. I mean, it may not be $1 million, but.
no,
So,
Right.
and your numbers are showing that they were paid?
they were paid.
Dr. Ashby, I did do some research on what we'd paid them and what we hadn't paid them. And I found a resolution from the December the 8th, 2014 meeting that did two things. It did the change order that reduced the contract by $18,000 and some odd dollars. But that resolution also authorized that final payment. And I've got a copy of the resolution here.
Right, but you did see where I raised some concerns
I mean,
about,
I'd like to pull out the minutes of the meeting, if we can, please, because
that was in November
I
when
mean, I thought it was clearly discussed, it was also discussed in the executive session, I think, at some point, of what they had done a bad job or something, I can't remember completely, that they will not be paid. So I don't know where this is coming from. And I agree, I think it was not a huge amount, but it
No, it
was like
wasn't a big amount.
$150,000, $200,000 still.
Yeah, it was
Compared-
$131,270 was the.
that
final
sounds
payment.
about right.
Yeah, I thought we didn't approve it, because we were told that it was not going to be given.
Well, it was
And we
a
can
really
pull
bad
minutes for
job.
that
If we
meeting.
can, please.
Yes.
It's a really bad job.
Anything further on this?
No, I think I may choose to put back on to speak with John. He did speak with the paper about it and mentioned pretty much what we talked about. Not all of it, but.
Anybody else has any questions?
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Item number 16, receive update on sale of old police building and old health department building.
Okay. In terms of selling these two pieces of property, the staff's done pretty much all it can at this point. We have the contracts for sale ready. We have the aerial photos that are required. We've contracted with Cheney Engineering to give us an updated survey that shows all the easements and improvements, which is also a requirement. Unfortunately, there's a shortage of surveyors in Paris right now, and so it takes a while for them to get to the work. But we're hoping to have and expecting to have that survey done by October the 12th. When we get that, we'll verify that our legal descriptions are correct, and then we should be ready to go with an online auction through Renee Bates, as we've discussed before. I will run an ad in the local paper pointing everybody to that, and so that local people make sure that they're aware of that in that process. So normally online auctions for property are run as long as a month, but if the council wants to do something other than that time period, we can.
I do have a question on this. Rather than put it on the auction and then come back and renegotiate the price, is it at all possible to get an estimate for asbestos abatement there? So that when the time comes and somebody bids, they are sure that this is what the abatement costs are going to be in that building, so that our intention is wanting to get rid of that building, so that if we can reduce the price by seeing what the abatement cost of it is, that the person, instead of spending another month after that, that price is there for them. And then if the city needs to reduce the price, because otherwise the price of the building will come up much higher. I mean, this is just a suggestion. It will speed the process up a little bit, and it doesn't cost us anything to get an estimate to do an asbestos abatement on it. For all that matters, we might be giving the building for free once we see the asbestos abatement cost.
If you want us to try to get.
But
this-
I mean, I don't know what other council members feel, but I think we should, it doesn't cost us anything to get an asbestos abatement price for the police office. And I think we should get it so that if somebody comes up with a real offer, that they know it, and if they're willing to take the building over with that cost, that we are able to do it.
Yeah.
Is it legally allowed?
I was just thinking, normally you do the asbestos abatement survey if you're gonna demo the structures, and I think, aren't we trying to sell them as is?
Yeah, we are, but the thing is, the likelihood of somebody wanting to use that building as is a little bit slim.
Yes.
And it will give us a little bit of an added advantage in time.
Is there asbestos in both of those buildings, or do you all know?
We know there's asbestos in the police building because we actually have had that studied at one point. We don't know about the old health department building.
And we do because the floor, when we were moving out, the floor had asbestos in it.
Yeah. Of course, it depends on, if you don't disturb asbestos in the
Yeah.
building, it's okay.
Yeah.
You know, you can leave it in place. If you wanted to rip it out, then that's a different matter. You'd have to have it abated.
Does anyone on the council have any objection to getting an estimate from an asbestos abater of what it costs to do it?
I don't think I have an objection unless there's a cost involved. I mean,
They will give a free estimate.
you know that for sure?
I don't know that for sure,
Okay.
but we
Well, that's
can
my
ask
only-
them. We can ask them. I mean, if it costs us something, then we shouldn't do it. But if it doesn't cost us anything and gets a free estimate,
You know, we can look at what it would cost to abate it, and also, I guess we could look at what it would cost to demo it with knowing that asbestos is in it, because you can get an estimate for that, I think, pretty.
Has that ever been done? Have we done that before?
When this building on Bonham Street collapsed some years ago,
Yeah.
4 or 5 years ago, it had asbestos in it.
Right.
And we got an estimate about what that would cost us before they actually went in and did it. You know, it had to be done, but we knew about what it would run. So we could probably have that same contractor give a demo estimate.
so nobody has any objection as long as it doesn't cost the city any money?
No.
So if we can get an estimate for that. Thank you. Any further discussion on item 16? No. Item number 17, discuss and act on one appointment to the Historic Preservation Commission. Janice, could you tell us who are the applicants?
Yes, we have 3 applicants. They're Annie Beard, Michael King, and Pat Conrad. We have 1 vacancy, and our Historic Preservation Main Street Director is here. She really wants to move forward with this so she can get the training accomplished all at once.
All right. Anyone wants to make any nominations?
Like to nominate Pat Conrad?
Mr. Pickle?
I would like to nominate Annie Beard.
Okay. Next is voting, so,
Can I say something
yeah,
first?
please, go ahead.
Because before, when we've done this, and I asked when these were up once before, if anybody knew these people or anything, I do want to say that I have worked with Annie on several committees that, such as Keep Paris Beautiful, some the Main Street she's been involved with, and she's been very active in a lot of the stuff that's going on downtown. I don't know if anybody knows Michael King. I know Pat Conrad. To be honest with you, I would love to see Pat, who also put her name in for the Main Street. I think she'd be a great Main Street representative.
Anybody want anything else to say?
I know Pat Conrad for quite some time. She has property both in the downtown historical area and in the residential historical area. She's done a lot of research. She actually is one of the first people I met when I moved here. So I think she has a great deal of expertise, and she's a worker.
I don't know any one of them personally, but I did get to read all the, the information which was put in, and I thought Ms. Beard was capable, and Mr. King seemed to be capable, at least was, from the sounds of it, looked interested. And Pat Conrad had a little bit less written about her, but I've asked people around, and that's what they said. I personally don't have any problems with any one of them. The only concern which poses to me was just the fact that Ms. Beard had some, whether there's any conflict of interest because they own property in that area. But again, people who are on that,
That was a
yeah, but I answered that people who are on that committee are people in that area. So,
Right.
That was answer. So now, who nominated, you nominated Ann Beard, and you nominated
Pat
Pat
Conrad.
Okay. I'll take a vote on it. Pat Conrad first. Okay. What did you vote, Mr. Plata? I didn't see.
I didn't.
Did not
We
vote,
didn't.
okay. So four, and then, so the
Okay.
seat is filled.
Thank you.
All right. Next thing is discuss and act on 2 appointments to the Main Street Advisory Board. Can you please read the names?
Certainly, we have 2 applicants. Because Pat was just appointed to HPC, we have Lori Reedus and Harriet Wilson. We also have 2 vacancies.
Oh, so there are 2 people and,
2 people and 2 vacancies.
okay, well, I suppose then, anyone has any objections?
Doesn't matter.
Okay, so everyone for both of them?
Doesn't matter.
Okay, well, you want
Is
me,
it a consensus that you all are voting?
well, let's take a vote on it so that it's clear that it, okay, so Ms. Reedus is first?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
What's her name?
Ms. Reedus?
Lori Reedus.
Lori Reedus. So,
Okay, I need a show of hands.
5-2, no, 6-1. Mr. Pickle did not.
Okay.
No, I think you want to vote,
Oh,
don't you?
you want to vote?
For Laurie, yeah, I'll vote for Laurie, sure.
Okay,
Okay.
I'm just,
Okay, and the next name is Harriet Wilson.
all right, all in
is
favor?
it, wait, does everybody know Harriet? Do any of y'all know Harriet?
No, I
I
don't.
know a little bit of her, not
Okay,
much,
And-
that's,
a
that's,
little bit.
And
Would-
didn't Miss Pat Conrad apply for this board
But
too?
she can't,
Yes, but
She
she's
can't be on there.
serving on HPC. We
Oh, we
appointed
just,
her.
okay. All right, so the other one, that's the only other one left.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, if I
All
can
in-
see a show of hands.
all
who's
in
voting
favor?
for her? And the other 3 who's opposed?
No, he will
Well,
vote, so 2 opposed.
no, we're not opposed, we're just not voting. I mean, it's
Okay,
pointless to
all right.
vote.
Okay.
Okay,
2.
whatever.
Not a question.
No.
all right. Item number 19, discuss and act on resolution nominating a candidate or candidates for membership on the Board of Directors of the Lamar County Appraisal District. I think Mr. Noble is on it.
Yes, he's our current
Okay.
representative on it.
I'd like to nominate him. If there are other nominations, we'll take them. Jim Noble. Anybody has any other nominations?
Do they fill out something to be put back on it also, like everybody else does?
Yeah, it's my understanding that we received the letter from the appraisal district. They've asked for nominees, and then once all the taxing entities sends their nominations in, they'll prepare a ballot, they'll send it back to us for you all to vote on.
Oh, no, but that's not
That's
what he's
fine.
asking.
No,
I think he's
my
asking,
question-
should we
I'm sorry.
put,
Does Jim Noble want to be on it again? Has anybody asked him that?
he has told me, but
Okay,
again,
okay, that was my question, that's fine.
yeah, but I don't think there is an application for it.
No, no,
So
I
it's
just wanted to
open
know
for-
if anybody had bothered to ask him.
No, no, he told me that,
Okay,
yeah, he
okay.
wants to be on it.
Okay, so.
Is
you're
there any
nominating-
other nominations from anyone? No?
Okay, can we get a vote on it, Mayor? Because we have a resolution on this.
All right, I'd like to nominate Jim Noble. Do you have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Item number 20, consider and approve future events for city council, city staff pursuant to resolution number 2004-081. Anything? Anyone? No? Nothing. Item 21, I'll make a motion. Second,
Second?
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.